Your motorcycle can make you proud, or cost you everything. Some of the most beloved rides in history ended up forgotten, undervalued, or abandoned. Others became icons that only grew stronger with time. In this countdown, you'll see 7 bikes that defined generations, and where they stand now. If you've got one of these in your garage, it might be worth holding on to. Stick around, because the last name on this list proves why motorcycles are never just about horsepower. They're about freedom, memory, and the pride of every rider. Number 7. Harley-Davidson Sportster. Tens of thousands of riders discovered freedom on a machine that cost less than a used pickup truck. The Sportster was the gateway into Harley culture, the bike that gave working men a chance to hear that legendary rumble without mortgaging their house. Dealers sold them by the truckload, and owners built lifetimes of memories on their saddles. It may have been the smallest Harley, but it carried the biggest legacy. Power was steady and reliable, ranging from 50 to 70 horsepower depending on the model year. That number never shocked the spec sheets, yet on the road it was more than enough. The delivery was smooth, predictable, and forgiving for first-timers, while still lively enough to keep seasoned riders grinning. The Sportster did not need to win drag races. It needed to teach men how to ride, and it did that better than anything else. 2 choices defined the bike's identity: the 883 or the 1200 cubic centimeter engines. Both shared the same air-cooled design, but each offered a different personality. The smaller motor gave newcomers confidence, while the larger version provided a punch that could handle highways with ease. Families often kept both in the garage, one for the learner and one for the man who wanted more muscle. Torque arrived low in the rev range, with figures between 54 and 70 pound-feet. That meant roll-ons at stoplights or climbing a hill felt effortless. Riders could focus on the ride itself rather than wrestling gears. It was torque you could feel in your chest, a deep pulse that set the Harley apart from the rest of the mid-sized cruiser world. Stopping power evolved over the decades. Early versions carried single hydraulic discs, later models gained dual discs, and eventually anti-lock braking system became available. Riders knew they could trust the bike not only to go, but to stop with authority when the ride demanded it. Confidence grew not just from torque, but from control. Suspension stayed true to tradition, with a telescopic fork at the front and twin shocks at the rear. The setup gave the bike its unmistakable stance, keeping the ride connected to the pavement without numbing the experience. It was basic, yes, but it reminded the rider that motorcycling is supposed to be felt, not filtered. Weight sat between 550 and 580 pounds. That put the machine light enough to maneuver through city streets, yet heavy enough to feel stable on the highway. A seat height of 28 inches welcomed a wide range of riders. Confidence came naturally the first time your boots touched the ground. Price made the deal even sweeter. Toward the end of its run, the starting figure sat at $8,999. That put it within reach of working-class Americans who wanted the real Harley experience. It was an honest motorcycle at an honest price. Today, the Nightster and the Sportster S carry the badge forward, but the old 883 and 1200 remain the bikes that started countless journeys. For older riders, it was the machine that first made them fall in love with 2 wheels. For new riders, it is still the easiest way to own a piece of Harley history. Number 6. Suzuki Boulevard S40. More than 200,000 men bought this motorcycle, and yet most people barely remember its name. The Boulevard S40 was hiding in plain sight, a single-cylinder cruiser that undercut almost every rival on price and simplicity. It never needed a badge of prestige to prove itself. It was affordable, approachable, and often the very first motorcycle parked in a garage beside a family car. That quiet role earned it a reputation far stronger than its sales numbers ever showed. Horsepower was modest, sitting at roughly 31. Nobody bought the Boulevard's 40 to chase speed records. Instead, that gentle output gave new riders confidence and returning riders ease. For short trips around town or evening cruises through the countryside, that level of power was more than enough. The beauty was not in the peak number, but in how steady the bike delivered it. The air-cooled engine displaced 652 cubic centimeters. A single thumping piston gave the bike its unmistakable heartbeat. That simplicity made maintenance easy and ownership less expensive. You could work on it with basic tools in your own garage. For older men tired of chasing complicated electronics, the straightforward design was refreshing. Output measured near 37 pound-feet of torque, which felt stronger than the numbers suggested. That might sound light compared to heavy twins, but in a motorcycle weighing only a few hundred pounds, it was plenty. The first twist of the throttle pushed you off the line with a satisfying tug. It was an honest kind of power, easy to control, but still strong enough to make every ride enjoyable. When it came time to slow down, the setup combined a hydraulic front disc with a rear drum. By modern standards, it was basic. Yet for the bike's weight and power, the setup worked. Riders trusted that squeeze of the lever in town traffic or on back roads, and the simple design meant fewer parts to fail over the years. Suspension followed the same logic. A telescopic fork handled duties at the front, with twin shocks keeping the rear steady. No adjustable modes, no digital menus, just proven hardware that balanced comfort with control. That approach fit the Boulevard S40 perfectly. It was not a showpiece, it was a ride-anywhere machine. Tipping the scales at about 380 pounds, the bike felt light and easy to handle. Combined with a seat height of 27.6 inches, the bike was accessible to nearly anyone. Shorter riders could flat-foot easily, while the lightweight frame made pushing it around the driveway a simple task. These traits turned the Boulevard S40 into one of the most confidence-inspiring cruisers of its era. Price sealed the deal. With a starting figure of $5,799 in its later years, it was one of the cheapest cruisers available from a major manufacturer. That low barrier of entry meant thousands of riders could own a brand new motorcycle without financial strain. Today, production has ended, but the Boulevard S40 still thrives on the used market. Many examples remain in solid condition because they were never pushed hard. For men who want a lightweight, simple, and affordable cruiser, it continues to deliver exactly what it always promised: uncomplicated freedom and the joy of the ride itself. If you've owned one of these bikes or still dream about throwing a leg over one, hit like and let us know in the comments. Your story might just remind another rider why these machines matter. Number 5. Honda Magna 750. When Honda rolled this machine onto showroom floors in the 1980s, it rewrote the rulebook on what a cruiser could do. The Magna looked like a modest mid-sized bike, but underneath that classic profile was the heart of a sport machine. Many riders who thought they were just buying a comfortable cruiser ended up with a motorcycle that could shock muscle cars at stoplights. It was a betrayal of expectations in the best possible way. Output from the liquid-cooled V4 engine measured around 78 horsepower. That number was staggering compared to other mid-sized cruisers of its time. The delivery was smooth and linear, yet the bike could surge forward with a roar when asked. Older riders who were used to lumbering twins suddenly had a cruiser that pulled like a sport bike. Displacement came in at 748 cubic centimeters. That figure may have sounded modest on paper, but the V4 design made it feel far larger on the road. Instead of running out of breath, the Magna kept pulling across the rev range. It was proof that Honda could pack serious engineering into a machine that still looked approachable. Torque settled near 47 pound-feet. For everyday riding, that meant steady launches and effortless passing power. It was a bike that handled city traffic without fuss, but came alive on open roads. The balance between usable grunt and thrilling top end made it versatile in ways few cruisers could match. Stopping strength mattered when you had that much acceleration. The Magna carried dual hydraulic discs at the front, paired with a drum at the rear in early years, later upgraded to more modern arrangements. Riders who twisted the throttle hard trusted that the brakes would haul them back down without drama. That combination of go and stop built confidence quickly. Suspension used a telescopic fork at the front and twin shocks at the rear. It was straightforward, keeping the ride comfortable without trying to overcomplicate the setup. Combined with a low stance, it gave the Magna a planted feel at speed and made long miles surprisingly easy. Riders could spend the whole day in the saddle without complaint. Weight measured around 540 pounds wet. It was heavy enough to feel substantial, but light enough to maneuver compared to the heavyweight cruisers of the era. Add a seat height of 28.5 inches, and the bike fit a wide range of riders. That accessibility helped it earn its reputation as a bike anyone could master. Cost added to the appeal. At launch, the Magna started around $3,995. For the amount of performance packed inside, it was one of the best bargains of its time. Many buyers discovered they had bought far more motorcycle than they expected for the price. The Magna has long since left showrooms, but its reputation endures. Enthusiasts hunt down clean examples, not just for nostalgia, but because the bike still delivers excitement today. It proved a cruiser could carry the soul of a sport machine, and in doing so, it gave a generation of riders a reason to fall in love with motorcycling all over again. Legends change, good gear doesn't. I've listed solid, no-nonsense rider gear and accessories in the description. Helmets, armored jackets, gloves, luggage, and phone mounts that actually hold. Number 4. Yamaha Roadstar. It wasn't born in America, but in the early 2000s, this machine came thundering in to prove it could play with the big boys. The Roadstar was Yamaha's answer to riders who wanted big torque, long-distance comfort, and classic styling without paying top-shelf prices. It was marketed as a serious rival, and in many ways it delivered. This was not a toy or a beginner's machine. It was a full-sized cruiser built to run hard and look the part. Power sat at roughly 62 horsepower. On paper, that figure looked modest compared to some competitors, but it was not about peak numbers. It was about the steady delivery of strength through a wide range. Riders who twisted the throttle felt a wave of motion that carried them forward with ease, not drama. Engine displacement started at 1,602 cubic centimeters before increasing to 1,670 cubic centimeters in later years. That air-cooled pushrod twin gave the Roadstar its heartbeat. The sound was deep, the vibration steady, and the character unmistakable. It was designed to echo tradition while being durable enough for modern riders. Torque measured 99 pound-feet, a figure that put the bike into serious cruising territory. The pull was strong and immediate, perfect for overtaking on highways or climbing steep grades without hesitation. Older riders who valued low-end power over high RPM screaming found the Roadstar perfectly matched to their style. Slowing down was handled by dual hydraulic discs up front and a single disc at the rear. For a bike of its size, that setup was necessary, and riders appreciated the confident feel at the lever. Reliability mattered, and Yamaha delivered a braking system that did its job without fuss. Suspension included a large telescopic fork in the front and a hidden rear shock that kept the look of a hardtail while preserving comfort. That balance between appearance and performance defined the Roadstar. It looked old school while riding smooth, a combination that won respect from men who wanted the best of both worlds. Weight pushed beyond 700 pounds wet. That figure might have intimidated some, but once moving, the bike felt stable and secure. It was not a machine for weaving through traffic. It was built for highways and open stretches where weight became an advantage. A seat height of 28 inches kept it manageable, allowing riders of average height to feel in control when stopped. Cost made the Roadstar appealing as well. A starting price of $11,499 undercut many rivals in the heavyweight category. For the amount of motorcycle offered, it was a strong value proposition. Buyers felt they were getting full cruiser presence without the premium markup. The Roadstar may be gone from Yamaha's catalog, but its legacy is secure. Used models continue to deliver dependable miles, often customized with pipes, bars, or touring gear. For riders who wanted big block feel without abandoning practicality, it provided exactly that. It proved that heavyweight cruisers did not belong exclusively to American brands, and in doing so, the Roadstar carved its own chapter in motorcycle history. Number 3. Triumph Bonneville. Just when riders thought it was lost to history, a legend rolled back onto showroom floors with its head held high. The Bonneville returned in the early 2000s and caught an entire generation off guard. This was not just nostalgia painted in chrome. It was a deliberate effort to blend timeless looks with reliability that older riders had been craving. For men who remembered the days of Triumph twins in the 1960s, it was like seeing an old friend walk through the door, older, wiser, but still carrying the same swagger. Horsepower figures landed near 67. That was enough to give the Bonneville surprising pull for a bike that looked rooted in the past. Power delivery was smooth, never peaky, and always right there when rolling through small towns or out onto open back roads. It was a reminder that riding did not need to be frantic to be satisfying. Engine displacement measured 865 cubic centimeters. This air-cooled parallel twin carried its heritage proudly, with cooling fins on display and a note that reminded veterans of the golden age of British bikes. Yet it started instantly on the button and asked for none of the ritual that once came with owning an old Triumph. Dependable and ready, it showed how heritage could evolve. Torque settled around 50 pound-feet. That low-end strength gave the Bonneville the ability to pull cleanly from low revs, a trait older riders valued for easy cruising. It was not explosive, but it was steady, predictable, and perfectly matched to the kind of riding most owners wanted to do. Stopping duties were handled by hydraulic disc brakes front and rear. Later models included the option of an anti-lock braking system, something older Triumphs could never dream of. Riders felt the confidence of modern braking while enjoying the posture of a classic machine. It was proof that tradition and safety could live side by side. Suspension used a telescopic fork up front with twin coil-over shocks at the rear. The setup looked like it had stepped out of the 1960s, but it was tuned for today's roads. The Bonneville tracked cleanly through corners, soaking up bumps without complaint while still letting the rider feel the pavement under them. It was classic in appearance, practical in execution. Wet weight hovered near 495 pounds. The bike never felt overwhelming, and at a standstill, it was easy to manage. Add a seat height of 30.5 inches, and the Bonneville welcomed a wide range of riders. From younger men just starting out to older ones returning to the saddle, it fit comfortably without intimidation. Price also made it appealing. In the early 2000s, the starting figure sat around $6,999. For a motorcycle that looked like it rolled out of a museum but carried modern guts, that price seemed almost too good to be true. The Bonneville's reputation today is secure. Though the air-cooled versions gave way to liquid-cooled successors, the older models remain prized. They stand as proof that a motorcycle can honor its roots while still moving forward. For riders who wanted a direct link to history without the headaches of vintage ownership, the Bonneville was the machine that made them fall in love with riding all over again. If this countdown reminded you why motorcycling runs deeper than chrome and horsepower, subscribe before heading out. Each week we dig into the rides that shaped generations. Stay with us, because the next legend could be your favorite. Number 2. Indian Scout. The Scout name had been sleeping for generations, but when it came back, it hit harder than anyone expected. The Scout was not just a comeback, it was a challenge to Harley's dominance in its own backyard. For riders who had grown tired of the same choices year after year, this bike felt like a secret weapon hidden in plain sight. It looked classic, rode smooth, and carried enough firepower to make anyone rethink what an American midsize cruiser could be. At its core, the Scout delivered an impressive 100 horsepower. That figure turned heads because mid-sized cruisers rarely hit numbers that high. Twist the throttle, and the power came alive instantly, smooth yet commanding. It gave riders the kind of confidence that made merging, overtaking, and long stretches of open highway not just easy, but exhilarating. Engine displacement measured 1,133 cubic centimeters. This liquid-cooled V-twin was a direct contrast to the air-cooled tradition that had dominated for decades. It ran cooler, lasted longer, and never punished its owner in traffic. For men who had spent years sweating over hot engines at stoplights, this design was a breath of fresh air. Torque was no less satisfying, rated at 72 pound-feet. The delivery was broad and accessible, not peaky or temperamental. From stop-and-go traffic to backroad sweepers, the Scout pulled clean and steady, giving riders a sense of control no matter where they rode. That predictability is what made it so approachable for new owners, while still exciting for veterans. Braking duties were handled by a single hydraulic disc up front and a single disc at the rear, with anti-lock braking system standard on most models. While not flashy, the system inspired confidence, particularly for riders trading up from smaller machines. Stopping power was reliable, and that mattered when carrying serious horsepower in a mid-sized frame. Suspension came in the form of a telescopic fork up front and twin shocks out back. The ride was firm but fair, giving enough comfort for daily commuting while keeping things composed on longer runs. It was not luxury soft, but it struck the right balance for a bike designed to do everything from short hops to cross-state rides. Weight settled around 560 pounds wet. That number placed it squarely in the mid-size category, light enough to maneuver yet heavy enough to feel stable at speed. Pair that with a seat height of 25.6 inches, and the Scout welcomed a wide range of riders. Whether short or tall, experienced or new, most found the ergonomics inviting. Price positioned it smartly. With a starting figure of $10,999, the Scout landed directly against Harley's Sportster lineup while offering more horsepower and modern tech. Buyers looking at the numbers saw undeniable value, and many chose it for that reason alone. The Scout remains a cornerstone in Indian's lineup today, spawning variants like the Bobber and the Rogue. It is a motorcycle that honored its legendary name by proving heritage and innovation can share the same road. For countless riders, it rekindled what they thought they had lost, the thrill of throwing a leg over a bike that feels both classic and new, all in the same breath. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Road King. For decades, police departments, long-haul riders, and weekend warriors all trusted one name. The Road King became the motorcycle you bought if you wanted respect on the highway and in the parking lot. No fairings, no flash, just a big twin wrapped in timeless style. It was Harley stripped to its essence, and it earned a place as one of the most beloved touring bikes in American history. Power delivery came from the Milwaukee 8 engine, offering between 95 and 120 horsepower depending on the version. It was never about chasing high numbers. It was about the feeling of torque rolling through the frame. Twist the throttle, and the surge came steady and strong, enough to pull you and a passenger across state lines with authority. Displacement ranged from 1,690 cubic centimeters in earlier twin-cam years to 1,868 cubic centimeters in the latest models. That big, air-cooled motor was the heart of the machine. Its deep pulse defined the Road King, a beat that older riders could feel in their bones as much as they could hear in their ears. Torque figures landed between 100 and 122 pound-feet, depending on the year and trim. That muscle off the line gave riders instant confidence. It was not a frantic rush, but a wave of power that carried the bike forward effortlessly, perfect for long-haul cruising and overtaking on highways. Braking systems featured dual hydraulic discs up front and a single hydraulic disc at the rear, with anti-lock braking system available in later models. For a bike of this size and weight, reliable stopping was as important as raw power. Riders trusted the system, especially when the miles stretched long and the loads grew heavy. Suspension used a large telescopic fork at the front and twin coilover shocks at the rear. It was tuned for comfort without losing road feel. That balance made the Road King a touring machine that could glide across rough pavement while still keeping the rider connected to the road beneath them. Wet weight tipped the scales at over 800 pounds. It was a serious motorcycle, not a toy. Yet once moving, the weight transformed into stability. At rest, a seat height of 26.7 inches made it approachable. Most riders could plant their boots firmly, giving them the confidence to handle its bulk. Cost reflected its role in the lineup. A recent starting price of $18,999 placed it below fully dressed touring machines while still delivering everything a rider needed for serious travel. Buyers got a stripped, dignified bagger that could be customized endlessly to fit their vision. The Road King has outlasted countless rivals because it represents something larger than numbers on a spec sheet. It is the American touring motorcycle in its purest form. No distractions, no apologies, just torque, chrome, and the open road. For older men who grew up dreaming of a Harley that could carry them anywhere, the Road King wasn't just another model. It was the promise of freedom, delivered with every mile. Motorcycles come and go, but the ones we've covered today remind us why riding is more than speed or chrome. It's about freedom, memory, and identity. Whether your favorite made the list or not, every rider carries their own legend. Keep the throttle steady, respect the road, and stay tuned, because next time we'll uncover more machines that shape the heart of motorcycling.